news agencies interviewed people in Tel Aviv and Tehran. What have they been saying?
Well, they've been saying pretty much the same as far as what the AFP has been saying, and we'll listen to them in a while. First of all, people in Israel and Iran, the ones who are interviewed, are asking for peace, for the end of this escalation. They do not want any more retaliations to these strikes because they fear the worst. So they want things to quiet down, or calling for peace. At the same time, in both countries, there's a big opposition to the people in power, to the leadership. But at the same time, the people who were interviewed understand that there was some kind of retaliation. They don't want this to go any further, because a retaliation that would be more destructive, could lead to a very serious escalation in the whole region. So it starts, the sounds we're going to listen to, the people we're going to listen to, first in Jerusalem, then in Tehran and Iran, the Israelis talking about, they're from Iran originally, and saying their dream would be to reunite with Iranians and to go back to their roots, and calling to unite, especially as, Jews all over the world are about to celebrate Passover. And then we'll listen to a soundbite from Iran today. Let's listen.
Long live the people of Israel and Iran. May the two sit together in the next Passover.
Here's to the lives of all Jews in Israel and abroad, and to the lives of all our brothers and sisters in Iran. To life.
In general, we are not in favour of war. One way or another, war is destructive. We are against war. We do not accept whether this side launches attacks or that side launches attacks. We did not accept it. We are not happy with the killing of people, whether they are Iranians, Israelis, or Gazans.
So, of course, Iranians in Tehran, and as residents across the Middle East and in the world, very concerned also for Gazans, especially as the situation there continues and could worsen in days to come.
It'd be nice if the people in power had those same views. Speaking of Gaza, Shirley, there is growing concern because Israel seems determined to go into Rafah to fight Hamas. Violence continues in Rafah. Palestinians say that Israeli allies, aren't being vocal enough to stop that ground offensive.
Yes, because they have criticized the Israeli plan to return with the ground now to Rafah, to destroy what the Israelis say are the last battalions of Hamas, who the Israelis say are in Rafah, but their allies, and of course other countries as well, but many countries, European countries, the US, have called against it, have urged against this, because they see that there could be many more deaths among civilians. The G7 opposes what it calls a full-scale military operation in Rafah. The US is opposed to a large-scale offensive in Rafah and is calling to preserve civilians. But does that mean that they're not opposed to some kind of ground offensive in Gaza? It's not very clear, and Palestinians obviously would like them to be, much more vocal against this, very clear, against all operations in Gaza, you would imagine. But the Israelis who say that without this, they will not be able to get Hamas out of there, and that it will go back and strengthen again. In Israel in recent days, some people have been joining what happened with Iran and what's happening in the Gaza Strip, saying that Israel may have promised the Americans not to retaliate in a strong way to what happened last Sunday, these launches of drones and missiles towards Israel. And this in exchange for a softer American approach to what's happening in Rafah, and allowing the Israelis, not being as opposed, not as loudly against an Israeli operation in Rafah. That's what's being said. Of course, there's no confirmation of this on any side. The Americans still urging and saying they're very concerned about the Israeli plan in Rafah and calling to preserve civilians. Of course, many Gazans who have fled the north and center, they found refuge in the south, and now they're extremely concerned.
Yeah, it's a worrying situation, what you're saying, Shirley. Thank you so much for your analysis. That's France 24's Shirley Sitbone.